Yo, what's up, everybody? We just received an amazing reward through the email on solo leveling rise. The game solo leveling won award, the grand prize at 2024 Korean Game Award. I'm not sure which kind of award is this, but probably some kind of important Korean award. And yeah, we received 30 summons and one weapon selection for Jinwoo, which a fantastic reward. This is something honestly I haven't seen in any other game that giving valuable rewards as this. So the object of this video today is which weapon we should choose from this box. Now I did summons on Isla. I got my A1 on Isla through those 30 tickets, and now I wanna select the weapon for for Sanjin. So here is the box, and if we click on use, as we see, there is multiple options. So first, let's exclude the weapons that are out of the equation, which right now the Scotty, the Huntsman, the Vulcan's Rage, the Shadow Scythe, and even though this is a really good weapon, but since we have the Demon King dagger here, the Demon King longsword is also out of the equation. Now, which the best weapon to select? This depends on many variables and many factors, and it's different from account to another. And to be honest, some advancements is really important over another advancements. But overall, the best options that you can pick from right now is the Plum sword. I bought it in the first place, although this is not the highest DPS weapon. However, you can use the Plum sword in any weapon combination and will always do fantastic. You can use it if the target has, let's say, fire weakness, and pair it with the Phoenix Soul and will do amazingly good. You can pair the Plum with the Grimoire. You can pair it with the Demon King dagger. This doesn't matter what element is your opponent or the monster you're facing. The Plum will always be valuable due to many factors, and if you're new to the game and you don't know what exactly the Plum does, the Plum giving multiples buffs to your Jinwoo. One of the buffs, so whenever you use this skill, you get 12% crit damage. This is like infinite until the end of the fight, and can stack up to 3 times. So this is 36% crit damage until the end of the fight. You don't need to do anything to activate this. You don't even need to use the Plum sword itself. Once you use this skill 3 times, you can even use it on the air. You don't have to hit boss or anything. So what I do sometimes, once I enter the dungeon, I just use the skill and then swap to my other weapon if let's say there is no elemental advantage for the Plum sword. Also, there is another buffs that the Plum gives. So if we dash before we use the skill of the Plum sword, we get this decent buff which increase the usage of speed of Plum flower. So this is the skill of the Plum sword. Give you 4% attack and 4% crit rate. Very decent buff, I'd say. And there is a lot more to this. So this is the most important buff from the Plum, which you can get at A1. So when you use uh, okay, so after you use your Plum sword skill, because it's different when you get more advancement. So when you get to more advancement, you don't even need to use this skill. Once you dash, you automatically activate this skill. So this is why I have on my current Plum, but at early advancements, yeah, it's after you use the Plum skill. So what this does, this is buff to the next skill. So the next skill you use will get 32% crit rate and 32% skill damage increase. This is really massive buff. Now this A2 is okay. This is nothing crazy about it. I would say this is probably the worst advancement. And here is the biggest, I'd say even more important than the A5. This is the biggest buff you can get. So the buff that we talk about it here, which the amplifying draw. Now when you use dash, you will get this buff, and the duration of this buff, instead of 3 seconds, it becomes 5 seconds. To be honest, 3 seconds is kinda low. You need to time your skills very well. But with 5 seconds, that's a lot of time to use any skill you want. So when you use big skill, if like magnifying slash or any other skill that does a lot of damage, dash before the skill and it will do a lot of damage, and this is really important. So even when I do some comparison between the weapons, and sometimes I forget to dash, a lot of viewers comment in the comment section that I didn't dash before a certain skill, which, you know, everybody does mistakes. And the A4 is just cooldown for the Plum skill, and A5, you remember the buff that we talk about it at the beginning of this conversation about the Plum. Now this will stack up to 5 times. So when instead of 36% crit damage, that will make it 60% crit damage. That's a lot of crit damage, and this is, by the way guys, is active buff. You don't need to do anything. While you using the Plum sword as a secondary weapon, you having 60% crit damage. And once you enter the dungeon, you will have 2 instances. So you will be already having 2 stacks. So you can collect 3 stacks to reach 5. So you will start with 24% crit damage, and you will have the ability to reach 60% if you use the skill 3 more times. Also, it will increase the user's dark damage by 5%. It's really cool, especially that we stack it up to 5 times now. Really nice buffs from the Plum sword. As you see, there is insane amount of buffs that this weapon can provide, despite using him or not on the field. So just this skill alone will be enough to put him to top tier, and this weapon giving also another buffs to your entire team, and the damage of this weapon is really good. I mean, decent, I would say. So especially if there is dark weakness, this weapon does really good amount of damage. So if you don't have the Plum, especially that, I would say the A1 is very big one, and the A3 is the biggest advancement. I will take the A3 over the A5. Now A5 is pretty good as well, but the A3 is just crazy. This will make you activate that amplifying draw every time, and that buff is insane, guys. Okay, so that's about the Plum sword. As I said, this weapon should be always your first priority, because despite any other weapon, like let's say the Demon King dagger, This weapon won't perform well if the boss that you're fighting, let's say, have resistance against wind. However, even if the enemy has resistance against dark, this weapon will always be your secondary weapon. This weapon not gonna be your main weapon at all. This is, you can count it like buffer to your team that does decent amount of damage. That's why I'm always advise a new player to focus on their plum sword. Now the other biggest two options is the Demon King dagger and the Moonshadow. However, if you really need strength right now, Demon King Dagger is not good, and I know I've seen a lot of complaints when I did comparison between the pumpkin, the spooky pumpkin. I think that's the name of the event weapon. Yes, spooky pumpkin, with the other wind units like the Demon King Dagger A2 and the West Wind A10. And the Demon King Dagger wasn't really that high damage, so um, many was wondering why, and I tell you why. This weapon highly rely on the advancement. If you don't have the ability to make this weapon at least a 3, Westwind, the Demon King Longsword, all of them way better than the Demon King Dagger, because the advancements of this weapon is crazy. Like, they giving a lot shit amount of damage. If you compare those advancement with any other advancement of any other weapon in the game, there is nothing give this massive buffs through the advancement. This weapon must be a 5 to be a top tier, guys. This is something I need everybody to understand. This weapon worth investing, and this weapon is top tier DBS. This is the highest DBS right now in solo leveling Rise. I mean, unless they add something else to, power creep this weapon, and I don't think it will be when. So this weapon will be very valuable for a long period of time if you got the chance to have it as A5. However, what I wanted to clarify, that this weapon is not good at A0. It is not good at all. I don't want to, like, if you're someone who just started playing the game, you want weapon that carry you through the game. The Demon King daggers won't do that for you at A0. You need to get right now the West Wind A10 is as strong as A3 Demon King daggers. So to for Demon King dagger to shine over the West Wind, must be A4 or A5. That's when the Demon King out the West Wind. So this is something I wanted to clarify. And there is the Moonshadow, which a very fantastic weapon. My second favorite dark weapon, giving insane buff. So how this symbol work? I'll try to clarify it. When you use this skill, which the moon glow shining in the dark. When you use this skill, it will apply full moon, which this debuff on the boss. And when you use the skill, it will give you this buff based on the number of this debuff on the boss. So I think at A0 you only get one debuff, and at A1, which really important advancement, I believe the most important advancement, you get up to 3 stacks. So once you get up to 3 stacks, now look at the difference in the damage. I would say this weapon also not providing that much damage or even buffs at A0, because I mean damage taken increased 10%, and if this damage is dark, another 10%, 20% damage increase. It's good, but it's not that big buff. However, the buff increase here from 10% to 15%, and now you can get up to 3 stacks, so that's 45% for overall damage that boss take. And if you are dealing dark damage, this is another 45% additional damage. That's make it 90% additional damage if you are dealing dark damage to the boss. Now the downside is the duration of this buff, which only 3 seconds. um, what we usually do, use our biggest skill during those 3 seconds to deal max damage possible. And the next big advancement for the Moonshadow is the A3. So when you use the shadow step, when the shadow step hits, it apply one instance of lunar eclipse per instance of full moon. So if you have 3 stacks of the full moon, you will get one instance of this buff, which really good. So instead of waiting for the weapon skill to use this, now the shadow step will activate the buff as well, which really cool. A4 is as usual cooldown reduction. A5 isn't that crazy, I mean, unless maybe on the guild boss or the power of distraction. This could be valuable because this increases the user and their team members damage by 15% while on slowing effect. So simply when the effect of this weapon ends, it slows the target for 3 seconds. So this is a 15% additional damage for 3 seconds. Nothing crazy, but it is okay buff. I'd say the biggest buffs for the Moonshadow is the A1 and the A3. This is the sweet spot for the Moonshadow. If you have it on A3, I really don't advise you too much to go for A4 or A5. Just leave it for the time. You're gonna get it eventually. So pick something else. I believe it will be more beneficial for you. The Demon King Dagger, as I said, if you plan to get the max power possible, if you want to get the most insane DPS possible for wind element, the Demon King Dagger is the way to go. But what I wanted through this video is not giving you false expectation. If you just started playing the game and expect this weapon to pull insane DPS with you, no, you need advancements, guys. And the most important advancements for this one is A1. A2 is okay, I mean 10% wind damage, nothing crazy about it. The same with A4 with 20% cooldown reduction. A3 is really massive buff, and A5 is the most insane buff for this weapon. So the biggest advancements 1, 2, 1, 3 and 5, sorry. Now let's say somehow you have maybe the Demon King Dagger maximized, your Moonshadow is A3 at least, and your Plum Sword is A5. What's the next weapon I will advise now? Obviously this is a guild weapon, so you need to farm for this. The next weapon I will probably advise you to go for is the Phoenix Soul. A very decent weapon right now, the best fire weapon in the game. In fact, the only other fire weapon here, which the Vulcan's Ridge, is nowhere close from the Phoenix Soul. And yeah, I like the play style of this weapon. The damage of this weapon is really good, and I really advise you to go for it. And what's really good about this weapon, even at A0, this weapon will give a decent damage, not crazy damage, because a lot of weapons rely on, you know, that in advancements, but the advancements of this weapon just make it stronger. It's not like you are unable to use it like the Demon King Dagger without the advancement. So this weapon is really good, even at if you just got it right now. So this is the next weapon that I prefer everybody go for. And the final one is the grimoire, and I think everybody knows about why this weapon is good. So once you use uh, the skill of this weapon, it will give you or it will give the target damage taking increase debuff. So with more advancements, I believe this one, yeah, increase the user's additional damage up to 20%. And the A5 is damage, increase the damage to frozen target by 15%. And if you don't know the skill of this weapon, freeze the target, which means any damage during that period of time will be increased by 50%, which really, really good. Um, Not the highest DBS weapon, but it's giving decent support and very good crowd control. And for right now, this is the best water weapon in the game. So this is my advice for light weapons. Just keep farming the Demon Knight Spear, since this is, in my opinion, the best light weapon that exists right now in the game. So yeah, we cover every single element, and I give you my advice to what you should pick, guys. And yeah, that's everything about it. And now, what I'm going to pick from this box will be this bad boy, since my Moonshadow is A3, my Plum sword is A5. So as I said in this video, the next one to go is the Demon King dagger. There is another weapon, I apologize, I just remembered that I forgot to cover, which the Zeke's fragment, which really good weapon. However, the downside of this one, it doesn't provide any kind of buffs. I believe as a solo damage, this weapon is probably the highest dark weapon in term of damage, and it's really good to have. But I prefer to use the combo of the Plum sword and the Moonshadow. But this is really good weapon. I apologize that I forgot to cover this one. And there we go. Here is my Demon King dagger. And welcome to the A3. We're getting close from the A5, guys. Yes. So I hope I give you an idea about what to choose, guys. I hope this information was valuable for you and give you a good idea about which weapon you should choose from those boxes or that box that we receive through our mails. Thanks very much for watching. I really appreciate your support, guys. If you like the video, subscribe to the channel, like the video, and please tell me in the comments which weapon you're going to pick from this box. I would really love to hear from you guys, and even discuss with you. If you want to ask me something in the comments, I would be happy to reply with you. I might be slow, as you see, but I'll do my best. And finally, I will really appreciate if you support me in the Netmarble support program, as it really helps me a lot to grow up on this channel and helps me to make more content. And there is a lot of codes to send to you guys once you start supporting. So yeah, thanks very much for watching. See you in the next one.